All right, so we're going to look at custom search engine stuff today. And I want to go over a couple different scenarios. First, we're actually going to look at parsing the response from the web. So using our search engine here and parsing it without the API versus parsing it with the API. And let me zoom in a little bit here so that we can see what we're doing. So this is a search that I already have set up for LinkedIn, I believe. Yeah, so this is doing a site search on LinkedIn profiles. So we should be able to just put in something like, I don't know, let's say talent sourcer. So here we have our responses. It's all well and good, but we want to process them so that we're not having to look at each one, right? So there's a couple things we can do. What we're really wanting to do right now is actually look for the response. And it's not going to be obvious which one that is. So one way to do that is to just watch this load as you press enter. But you can also just kind of look for your keywords. So we can see right here, this is our keyword that we searched for. So this is probably what we're after. And sometimes it shows the response in the preview, sometimes it does not. So one way to get that response is to right click on it and copy. If we can just copy that response, then we can look at what that response was right here. So here we have it, right? Now, this is a lot of code. And actually, you know what? Let me move my my face so it's not in front of us here. All right. And we'll just yeah, that's good. All right. So this is actually giving us back the web page that we have. Now, one thing we can do is, one thing I usually do is just go to regex 101, drop that in, and then look for the HTML data or the text data that I'm after. So in this case, I'm wanting to skip over these ads, and I'm really wanting to get to here, the first person, which is David H, right? So there I could say David, no match. So I do not have what I'm after in this case, but it could be this, because this appears to be some encoded data. Yeah, it is. So we're just tinkering around here, right? This is part of it. So this is going to, nope. I know it's in here. We just need to find it. Oops. let's do it this way. We'll go to talent. There we go. Found a match. There we go. Talent sourcer. Connecting in employers. So this is a dice ad. More ads. All right, so it looks like this is just ad stuff in this response, so maybe that wasn't what we were looking for. So let's go back in here and let's just run the search again and pay more attention to the response. So we're going to say this again, and we're going to click right in here so we can watch it. Say talent sourcer, enter. Okay, yeah, we had specifically clicked on the ads. So let's copy this again, copy response, drop that in here. Here we go. This is what we were after. So here is, and let me zoom in a little bit here so we can see. But what we have here is actually almost the exact same response that we get from the paid API. It's just going directly to the page on Google. Instead of getting an API response, we have this, which is running a function on top of the API that then builds that page for us. One moment. All right, so let's take a look at that response again. And what we want is basically just this data here, which is a large JSON object. So we want to get rid of everything that's not that, which is this. And if we do that, we should then get this nice clean, this nice clean JSON response that has the total results, which doesn't appear to be correct, but what we have here is the estimated results count, the cursor that we need to, or sorry, the next page that if we want to page through them, the page numbers, and then the results here, right? And these results are what we're ultimately after. So there's a couple things we can do here. We could loop through these, process them all on the front end, and download them as a table. And that's what we're going to do now. The other approach that we can do that I did a video on a few months ago is processing the API. But the problem with that is those API requests, they add up. If you're just doing it for personal use and you're not like doing any massive mining, that's fine. But you do have to set up an account and all that stuff. Whereas this way, it's kind of a way to avoid it. And there's no cost associated with doing it this way. So I want to show kind of the other way to do it because it looked like some people were not used to using the API, which totally makes sense, right? Unless you're a developer, you probably wouldn't normally interact with the API. So this is just another way to do it. And when we're done, I'll give you the code. But there is something to be known here that this isn't a simple one. This is never going to be a simple one-click process, and we'll cover why that is. But basically, there's a token that you need to get from the page that you have to manually drop into this code every time you run it. And so you actually have to run your search, copy the fetch, which I'm about to go over, find that token, and put that token into the script, and then you'll be able to run it. And we'll play around with that a little bit here today. And also, hello, Brett. Good morning, fellow nerd. All right, so now what we want to do is right-click on that same thing, and instead of copying the response, we can copy the fetch, and that will give us the call that we actually need to make. So then we can write a little function here. So we're going to say async function. Oops, I guess I need to click in to the browser here. Async function, and we'll go ahead and spell it correctly as well. And we'll say get CSE res. And then here we'll say const res. We'll drop in the fetch that we made, or that we pulled out. And then we will create another variable. So I'm saying const. Const is, we're actually, yeah, let's do variable just because I don't want to confuse you all. I'm going to assign the variable D, which is going to represent, actually, you know what, let's not do D, let's do text, which is going to represent the text response that we get. Hey, morning, Brett. Or two Bretts. It's a Brett stream. All right, so a couple things to note here. So when you get a response like this, it's going to you need to know what type it is. And in this case, we're getting actually a text response that we want to clean out some JSON from. And so because of that, we need to say res, or we'll say, sorry, await, and we need to do that up here, await. And this await keyword is basically telling the function to pause until it finishes retrieving the information that we're looking, or that we're trying to get. And so here we'll say res text. All right, now we have our text, and then from that text is going to be this whole thing. And what we want to do is get rid of this part of that text. So to do that, we will write a little regular expression to clean it up. And that'll be simple enough. What we can do is say from the first character, so that's a caret, meaning the very front of whatever string it is, we want to get everything up before it finds the first open parentheses. And we're going to replace that with 0. So we're going to write this as a replace function. And we'll say text replace, and then we'll do one more, replace. And then at the end, we want to just get rid of the last bit of stuff on the end, which is going to be this closing parentheses and semicolon. And so we'll say, and actually, before we do that, we want to get rid of the new lines in case it has any new lines, so that it's one solid string. And we will then, say close parentheses, semicolon, and then this should be the very end of the string. And then we should then be able to parse that. And so this then represents our JSON data. And then we can console log that data. And we will run this function and see what we get. Boom, there we go. Now we have, instead of running it here, we are able to run it with the code, right? Now we need to talk about the things that we need to change, like the token and the query itself. So let's do that. So within this, we want to pass through an argument in the function. And by the way, if you all have any questions here live, you can put them in chat, as well as if you're on my Discord, you're welcome to just pop into my voice channel. I have that open right now and I'm in there hanging out, so feel free to do that. Your questions will not be live on the stream because I have my desktop muted, but I will answer them live. All right. So what we're after, let's put in here, we'll just say params, and then let's turn those params into some, we'll extract those params and assign them variables using this spread operator. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to say query, and then down here, this is where we're going to write it. So the query that we're doing in this case is going to be talent sourcer, and what else? Well, let's go ahead and replace that here first. And to do that, we're going to change this quote to this type of quote, which will allow us to more easily insert items. So you can insert items with these kind of quotes with these curly brackets and a $sign ahead of it. Alternatively, you could, and maybe, yeah, I mean, I think it's good to learn this actually, so we'll do it this way. All right, so we're passing that query in. One thing we need to keep in mind is that our query needs to be URI encoded, so that's easy to do. There's a simple function for that. We'll just say encode URI component, wrap it, parentheses, boom. Now that's encoded. Now what we need to do is find this token. Oh, it's not in this page, which is the thing I was talking about. So to get this token, you need to basically go through the steps that we've done at this point, right? So you'll have to go and copy that fetch, find this token every time and pass it through. And so to keep yourself from having to mess around with rewriting the whole thing every time, in my opinion, the easiest thing to do in that case is to just create a variable specifically for this that then you can pass through down here. And we'll just say, what is this called up here? CSE toke. Yeah, let's just call it actually the exact same thing. And we'll do that here too, just to keep things even. Okay. And this appears to be a timestamp, but let's double check. New date. Yep, it is a timestamp. So it's actually appears to be a timestamp that's good for 24 hour? No, that's, yeah, I guess it's a little less than 24 hours. I wonder how they're managing that. Well, in any case, we can handle that. So we'll say, yeah, we're actually just going to copy this whole thing down. Okay. And we'll just pass that through here. And now we should be able to run this again the same way. Oops. Gotta clear that up here. And then still works, so we're good so far. All right. And it looks like there's another query on this, which I wasn't expecting. There is this CX, which comes from this, so that's easy enough to grab out. So let's do that. Let's find that here in the page. Ooh. Is this already the whole thing? I don't know. I'm curious what all of this is. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's fine. So we're just after this CX token, I guess you can call it. And I'm trying to think of the best way to grab it. So I think what we'll do is say document body enter HTML, and we'll say, we'll create a little regular expression here, CX equals and we want to get everything up until we see probably a quote, I would think. And let's just see what this gives us. There we go. The only thing is I messed that up, so I just need to do that, and then boom, there we go. So that'll work. Now we can just pass this through as our CX. And let's make this a little easier to read by doing this. Okay. Now we need up here to define that and replace it here, like so. We're moving along. And then here we need to do the same thing, apparently, with this. I don't know why it is doubling up that query. We might not actually even need, you know what, let's check and see if we need it, because sometimes we can remove stuff out of here, so let's try that. Yeah, we can get rid of that. And let's see what else we can get rid of here. I feel like we can probably get rid of this as well. No, probably not, but we're going to try it anyway. Yeah, no. So the question is, does this stay static? I suspect it does not. Let's see. I'm pretty sure this number probably changes. You know what? I think I built something like this a while ago. Let me look it up and see if I have something for this. Let's see. Code. All right. Search. Here we go. Let's see what I did in the past here. Yeah, this does change. I thought so. Okay, that's good to know. So we need to grab that out somehow. So let's find it. It doesn't exist here either. So yeah, this is a drag. We're gonna have to pull this out every time as well. So let's put those things that we have to grab out every time manually towards the back here. Partner generic. All right. That's also not going to work. Let's see. 1 second here. I might have another piece of code for this. What is this? Okay. All right, we'll just have to pull this out manually every time, unfortunately. GSL. And we'll just create something that makes this easy to do every time, I guess. GSL. See how that runs. Runs fine. Yeah, actually I shared a function that'll assist with parsing this. So actually let's take a pause and take a quick look at that function. I believe I posted it up yesterday in my utilities. Yeah, URI parser. So let's go here down to the network, and we're actually just going to copy this fetch again. And then over here, let's put it in so we can take a look at it separately. And what we want to do is we're going to parse this part, the URL. We want to parse that as JSON basically for ourselves, so it's easier to extract this when we need to do this again in the future, right? So that we're not having to go hunt for it, because it's difficult to read this stuff through. So if we just pull out that URL, we'll pass it through this function, and then that gives us the different components that we're after. So the things that we have to manually pass through here is the CSE underscore toke and the GSL. So super easy then to just grab that and push it through that way. And now that I'm thinking about it, actually, I might want to just incorporate that into the code here. So let's do that. So here, let's write a new function. Oh, first let's put this function in here, and then we're going to write another function that says I don't know, function build API query. And that's going to take the URL. Okay. And then we will pass that URL through that there. And I'll get to this in a minute, what we're doing with it. All right. And let's just take all of this stuff over so that we can easily read it down here. So this is what that output's going to be. And then here we can compare it to what we need over here. All right, and there we go. So we're going to base the callback. Did I leave that in? Oh, I see. All right, so we want to do that. Yeah, I didn't see what I did there. So it's a good thing we're doing it like this. Callback. And actually, you know what? We don't even need to do that. What we're going to do is so there's the callback. Interesting. The only thing we really need to do now, if we're doing it this way, is replace the query with our query in that instance. So we could simplify this for ourselves. I think. Let me double check. So the OQ and the Q are the same, and I think it looks like everything else are the things we need to change, and then everything else can stay the same as whatever our initial query was. So that'll keep it pretty simple, I think. So let's do that. That'll be much easier for us. All right, so what we're going to do here and we're going to pass this through, and then here we're going to say the call that JSON queue, and now from there we can pass through our query that we're wanting to perform. So that's just the search, Boolean search that we're processing. And actually, let me just call it search to keep it simple for us. And then what we can do then is we're actually going to reassign the query as search, and then we're going to reassign, the same thing again, query the OQ. I don't know what the difference is, why they have it twice, but they do, so we're going to keep it that way. And then finally, what we will then do is reparse that, rebuild that back. So we're going to turn this back into a URL pattern and return it like so by just passing this back through. And then we should then be able to get rid of all of this stuff and just pass this through as URL. And my only concern is this. I don't know what this is about. Let's see. I do know what that's about. I bet that's a... Well, we'll worry about that in a moment. First, let's just get this done. So we can then just pass that right through here, and it should just work like magic, except for it didn't. What did I do? Oh, oopsie, my bad. Yep. I just made a typo. That doesn't need a close parentheses. Cannot replace if undefined. What did I do? Personalized JSON. Oh, oops. Well, no, that should have worked. Old API query. Parse. Oh, I didn't have my query in here. That was it. So my query is going to be talent sourcing. There we go. Perfect. Ooh, that's a lot more simple. Very good. All right. So again, now all we have to do, well, I think we're still testing this out, but so now when we go to our CSC, right, we search for whatever, we'll say in title this time, and we're going to say talent sourcer, and then while we're doing that, we go to the network tab and we watch for the response, right, or we watch for that request. Boom, it's right there. It's V1 right here. This is what we're after. And then we just copy that fetch. And then we can, we paste that fetch in here. And all we have to do now is we take this part of it, the URL, we won't worry about the rest of it. And then we just pass that through as our second argument here. And every time it should work for us. We don't have to do like all this hunting down of all this stuff. It does it for us automatically. We just pass through the search that we're doing, and it figures out the rest. We just have to keep in mind that we need to keep the search the same as we did up there, which I didn't in this case, so we'll need to do that again in title. And hopefully my URI encoding is working correctly. It appears to be. Cool. So now we need to parse the response, but before, well, let's actually hang on, because what I'm not sure about is this piece here. Pretty sure that's going to be changing on us. Oh shit, hell yeah, we don't even need that. Or do we? Let's refresh and see. Yeah, we don't need it. Good. All right. Do we need any of these? We might not need any of these credentials. We don't. Even better. Hell yeah. Because we're logged in, so it's piggybacking on the current credentials and cookies, so we don't even have to pass through anything. That's great. This simplifies it a lot more. Much easier to read, deal with now. All right, this is just perfect. Return D, and now we need to build a function to parse the response. So let's do that. All right. One thing, I'm curious if I can get back more than 10 results. I should be able to get 100. So let's try it. We'll try 20 first. Nope, that doesn't work. Damn. All right, well, hey, we tried. Let's not be greedy. We'll just stick with the 10. All right. Oh, I'm not logging that. Well, here, we can do it here. Oh, and this is actually good to learn. So one thing you can do if you're wanting to play with the response this way. So here we can now build our function here. So we're gonna function parse CSC response. We're just gonna put that argument as D. Okay. And yeah, let's do it. So what we are after is the results. Well, actually, we're after a couple things, but the first thing we're after is results. And then we want to map each one of those results. So I should guess talk through what this is. This question mark is a, it's called optional chaining. So it's a new feature in, right now it's not an official spec for JavaScript, but it is implemented in Chrome. I believe all Chromium-based browsers, so it should work on Edge, Brave, basically anything except for Firefox and Safari. And it just saves us some time. So it's basically checking each one of these things to see if it's true. So if this is not null, then it keeps moving along without having to write conditions for each one. So now we can just go through and dive in if it exists. Otherwise, it does nothing. So let's get parsing this stuff. And you know what? I might have this already done somewhere, so let's not waste a bunch of time if we already have it done. Oh, you know what? I think it might be in my no, that's the CSC version or the Google Apps Script version. Let's just go back over here. We'll write it real quick. It's not that big a deal. So results. Let's see, breadcrumb. What is that? Click track URL. We don't need that. Content. We might want that. All right. Let's try to keep this, since it's LinkedIn specifically, we'll try to keep it what do we want to call this? I mean, I can build this specifically for LinkedIn and make it fancy, or we can just keep it simple. I don't know which way we want to do it. Because we know this is the first name or the full name, right? And so we might want to parse that specifically in this case as the full name, but that's not always going to be the case if we're doing this for other sites. So I don't know what to do. Think about it for a second. For now, we'll do it this way. We'll say title r dot title move formatting and content equals r content, and we'll do content no formatting. This formatting versus non-formatting, this is like this is already kind of ready for insertion into HTML. So this is a HTML quote, and obviously this is a bold, right? So it's bolding in the match that happened. So rich snippet, what do we have here? CSC image, ooh, that's nice. Thumbnail. What is this? Okay. Oh, damn. All right, now I'm curious. Is this giving us Twitter information? So, not sure why that's... Oh, I see. That would have been cool. But no, this isn't anything extra really. That would have been cool though. This is just metadata around the, oh, it says it right there, meta tags. Okay. All right, but I do want to go ahead and grab the image. That's a Pulse article. Do I want to bother with the image? Yeah, I think I do. All right, so what we're after is rich snippet. Meta tags and OG image. Going to be right, and let's go ahead and start testing this to make sure that we've got what we need. And so we will that's temp one. Okay, let's just return this. All right, yeah, we got title, image. All right, good. What else do we want? Oh, nice, it has this in the meta tags too. Okay, so I don't know why it's calling it Twitter description. This is not Twitter, but that's okay because it's giving us some stuff. What is this platform worker? Ooh. Nah, that's not doing anything for me. iOS supported ID. Got some storms here, so if I drop off, that's why. Name, and there's a, if there's no data here, we're not going to want empty fields. So let's grab something for that real quick. Clean. Yeah, the Twitter card. I thought that was going to be something cool, but it's not, unfortunately. It's just it's just one of their naming conventions, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we'll pass this clean object function around the around the object output there, and it'll clean out anything that is null for us automatically, so we don't have garbage data in here. Twitter card. I don't know why they're calling it Twitter, because this is definitely not Twitter. I think it's just, honestly, I don't know. I'm curious, but I don't want to speculate because I just don't know why they're calling it that. What did I do? Oh. All right, so cool. Now, one thing we could do to automatically clean up this title is we could write a condition that says if we placeholder for user input info, maybe, I'm not sure. At first, I thought it was just automatically extracting like contact card out of LinkedIn, but it's not. If we want to get complex here, and I think we will, we can write a condition that will, if the first name and last name exist, it will remove, it'll write a regular expression programmatically and remove them from the title. So let's actually just do that real quick. Let's see, we'll say let object equals, and then we'll say if object maybe I don't want to do it like that, because what I can do is just say, this will get a little bit messy, but I can do it up here and say, all right, x title equals that, and last name exist, then new regular expression that plus this else null, and then I can say, well, no, not else null, else I guess that. Oh, and I need that up here too. And then I should actually just be able to go to the title piece and say if that replace x title with, what did I do wrong here? Oh, no, that's right. Oh, I see. Where did it? There we go. That didn't work. Ah, I see. Typo. Perfect. So it removes that first name out of here. Now, the other thing we'll need to do is take out this too, right? So that's no problem. That's easy to do. So we'll add this here. Yeah. Perfect. So now, and I'm going to change title, I think, to headline here. This headline works just as well as title, and it keeps them, you know, it's in keeping with the LinkedIn approach here. Yeah. All right. So we've got our parser now. So let's go back and get the API pull stuff that we were doing, and then we'll drop this function in here. Cool. And let's write a new function, async function, loop through CSE search. Okay, and let's break this up a little bit. So we're going to say var API URL and that's going to be the thing that we pull out of the fetch every time. So that'll be what the user has to drop in the one manual whatever, let's leave that for now. And then we'll say var API query, and that'll be API URL, and what else? Oh, you know what? We need to look at I don't know why this is saying there's only 10 results. I know there are more than 10 results here. Oh, I guess I don't know that. It's funny, I'm really not a fan of Google custom search engine. But I know a lot of people are, so that's why we're doing this. So let me change my search up here a little bit, I guess. Because I want to be able to page through. There we go. And look at the paging as it happens. All right, so let's watch this as we page. We're going to click 2, and there it is. Copy as fetch, and then let's take a peek. Oops, shit. At what the difference is. start. So this is it. We didn't have a start position in there. And so we just need to append that on our loop. So I'm just going to put that down in here for now. We're going to close this down. And let's go back up here. And something else we need from the response is the cursor result count. Pages. So we can only go through 100 pages anyway, which is fine. So what we'll do is we want to get that out by saying the cursor pages map, I guess, and then I start should give us, yeah, what we're after. All right, so we will first make a query to get the first, the first response. We'll process that, but then from that first response, we will get an idea of how many more responses are available to us, up to 10 pages, no more, unfortunately. So let's var search response equals await equals this, and then there we're going to just pass through this API query and get that response, and then we're going to console log. Actually, you know what? First, let's say pages equals search res then we will log that pages, and then we're going to our data equal search as, actually, you know what, we're just going to say contain our, and this is where we will dump in the results. So in this case, search res will get that first one for us, and we will we're going to wrap that up like so, and then we will do that, and let's see what we get. All right, so perfect. And let's try it with a different search. And we're going to remove in title. And there we have it. Now we have our the page map and the number of pages that we have access to, basically, and then we have the first results. And so now what we can do is say, in this case, nice. Oh, I know what I did wrong. So I'm going to shift off the first, but what I did wrong was I shift returns back that thing, and so I just need to do it below, and then it should be good. Pages, not page. There we go. So now this will give us the remainder of what we need, and that will, let's try something else here real quick. Let's say in title, talent source here, perfect. So now that's an empty array if we only had one result, which is what we want to know. And so from there, it'll be simple to then say for pages, or no, let's say for let I equals 0, no, I equals yeah, that's right. I equals 0. I is less than pages dot length. I plus plus. There's a couple different ways we could do this loop. We're doing it by just directly passing through the page data, right? So it'll be a little bit, I don't know, hopefully it's intuitive enough. And then we'll say let res, and we're using let instead of var here because we want to, let is basically a way of scoping this variable to not exist outside of this for loop. And then API query, and then we want to replace, or actually we don't want to replace, we just want to, maybe we do, where is that normally located? Let's try it this way. We're just going to try to append the start equals whatever the current page iteration is that we're on. So that'll be I representing that. And let me grab something here. We need this delay function, or these delay functions. Keep this stuff clean for us. So it don't get hit in like 429. We want to create some, sorry, 429. So that we don't get basically smacked by Google or put in a captcha loop, which is probably going to happen anyway, but we're testing it. We're going to create a delay function here. So we're going to say await delay, and then we're going to throw in a randomizer here with this rando function, and we're just going to say between 0 and I don't know, let's do 300 milliseconds plus 1.2 seconds. So like this will have a delay between like 1.2 and 4 seconds on each loop. And then where's my parse? Then we can say contain r push, and then we will just push in the parse response every time. And then when that completes, we can say console log container, get rid of this, and now this should loop through all of our search results. And in this case, we only have that, so we're going to make this go through the full 10 pages. So that's let's see how it goes. We can watch it here in the network. Appears to be working. Perfect. Now, a couple things we need to do. Oops, store. Is first, this needs to be flattened. Right. And then also I want to delete any duplicates. So we'll do that delete on URL. And let me grab another function here. Unique key. There we go. There are 100 results. And now we could, just convert this into a table format, export it, and be done. Yeah. So let's get to it. All right. So. Couple things we want to do. So we're going to do that flat, but then we're also going to remove any bad data that comes through. So we might get some undefineds or something, who knows. And that's super simple. We can just do that like so. And then again here, in this instance, we are deduping on the URL object. And I'm going to call this output, I guess. Actually, you know what, let's just return it like this and create one more function that will handle the data translations as well. And actually, let's just wrap this whole thing up in one big function, which is going to be async function init csc client minor, I guess, I don't know. Right. And then here we can say output JSON wait and I think just to clean this up a little bit, let's create a couple variables here. Actually, we're going to take this down specifically and replace that here, and then we're going to pass through that as an argument there, the API, as well as the search. Bool search. So this doesn't have to match up here, but I'm just doing that for your benefit, really. Might make it easier for you to keep track of. So, all right, we've got that, and then now we just need to do the data translation into a table format and download. Since this should all be pretty flat data, we can use I'm considering being nice and making this a CSV output, but I don't know if I want to or not. Because I'm really trying to get people to move to TSV. This TSV is clearly superior. Yeah, we're just going to stick with TSV. Sorry. Convert to TSV and download. That way I don't have to rewrite this whole thing. And yeah, that works. Now the question is this bookmarklet ready? Because I don't know that it is. So we'll see, I guess, because I do want to package this up as a... Oh no, you know what? This can't be packaged up as a bookmarklet anyway because, well, I mean, I guess it could be, but do we want to make this really easy on you all? Nah, we're gonna stick with the raw code here. All right, so once we have that, then we'll take this function and down here, finally we will say that, and then the file name. The file name will be your bool search plus ts.tsv. All right, and then that should really be it. And then we just need to go through again how to pull this all together when you first get up and running. So let's do that real quick. So got this code, right? You then, as a user, there's two things you need to edit. You need to edit your Boolean search, which goes here, and then you need to get your initial response from here, right? So whatever your search is, it doesn't matter because you're going to restate it down there in the Boolean search. But in this case, we're going to say, all right, we're going to say in title, what do we want to say? Talent, sourcer, or I don't know. Now we'll say, and actually we're not going to say talent sourcer, we're just going to say sourcer. Let's do something complex. Sourcer or sourcing and not sourcing. Say that. All right, and so again, when you run that, before you start running it, go in here to the network tab and watch. You got to keep an eye on it. When you click search, should be the first thing that popped up, and that's going to be this v1, right? And so you'll want to copy that, copy it as fetch. You'll go back to your code in the console here and just paste that anywhere you want. And all you need is this piece of it. And get rid of everything else that you put back in there, and then just copy that right here, and now it should work. We'll see. Now, I do want to, so it's going to ignore this search that you just made and only search on what you had here. So it's important to make sure that you then rebuild that search, right, the way you wanted it. So you could say, what did we have? We had in title, and then we said sourcer or recruiter and Atlanta, right? So let's run it, see what we get. Oops, all right, I messed something up. Oh, I forgot to change that. All right, now it'll work. All right, so it's running. There's not going to be, at least right now, any kind of notification on how it's progressing, although I guess we could change that. Yeah, we'll do that. Simple fix on that is to say, we'll just console log. And then we'll just console log the page that we're on, just so we know. And that's simple, right? And then here we go. Here is our output. So let's take a quick look at it. And import, upload, tab, replace sheet, and shoot. All right, so I messed something up. I know what it is, so we can fix it. There were tabs in that data that I forgot to pull out. So let's do that. Let's see, I've got something. Actually, I've got it right up here. TSV ready. We need to pull down into this parser. Oops. And we will just wrap all these items in this function. And that basically gets rid of any new line data, TSC data that's in the content that we don't want. And there shouldn't, no, there's not going to be any in that, so we don't even need to worry. All right, so let's run it again, see how that runs. And now we get some indication here on where we're at in the process. So we're on page 4 at this point. And it got to page 5 and stopped. Import, upload, let's try that again. Replace current sheet, tab separated. There we go, much better. So we have the URL, first name, last name, headline, the content that's kind of showing up there, and this is where we were getting hit. See, there's a new line here. And then these are, I guess, the yeah, pretty cool. Last name true, that's weird. Let's take a look at that. That was, strange. Oh, his last name is true. That makes sense. Okay, it's type coercion stuff in Excel actually. Yeah, that matches 31, and we got 31 out of it, so that is correct. All right, so yeah, that's how you would do it on the client side if you didn't want to use the API that Google provides. I guess we could talk through the API stuff as well. This took a little bit longer than I thought. I thought I had actually built a lot of this stuff a while ago, but apparently I gave up because of this issue. Which I don't... Now that I'm thinking about it, I do actually know a solution using Puppeteer, maybe. I just don't know if I want to mess around with it because it's going to be a complex build. But let's go ahead and save this to GitHub for people so that they can use it. Let's see, this is Google Apps script. I guess we'll create a new repository. Surely we have something. I feel like I have something maybe older. Okay. Wow, time goes by quickly. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago I was working on that. All right, I guess we're just going to create a new repository here. Google CSE. And let's add client-side CSE minor. There we go. First name. Not last name. Oh. I don't understand, honestly, why. I don't know. Again, I just don't use CSEs that much just because historically I haven't used them because of the API cost associated with it, and this is kind of a workaround to it, but it can't really scale up for an application, at least not right now until I figure out a way to identify the token. But yeah. So on the other side, the video that I did last time, I think people were struggling with it because of I think people were struggling with it because of the API issue. So I just want to kind of briefly go through that. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So in the video, the CSE URL that you're using, it needs to be the API URL, not the not this URL, because this URL will not work. And honestly, like, I just don't mess around with it enough to, I mean, I can go through it with you and we can poke around, but I don't want to expose my API keys live here. So I'd probably recommend hitting up Mark or David or someone like that that plays around in CSE APIs more. And I built this API version specifically for Mark. One thing to note though is in this, let's see, where is it at? So in here, I'm just pulling down the first response. See this? And the items. So, and that's just because of specifically how Mark did it. If you wanted more than the first response, if you wanted to get all of them, it would be a bit different and more complex to do, especially in Sheets, because Sheets is two-dimensional data. So honestly, I think it's probably easier for most people, unless they're doing specifically what Mark was doing, which was trying to identify specific people by their name in a very precise way, that you're probably better off to use the client-side thing that we just built. But yeah, hopefully that helps people. I've been meaning to finish this client-side tool for a while now anyway, and put it out there, so I thought this would be a good exercise in doing so. And I've got a little more time before I need to get to some other stuff, so I think what I'm really wanting to figure out now is how to get this stuff programmatically, because I need this. So let me see what happens if we do it this way. What is this anyway? Yeah, and so this will work the same way. You don't have to be on the actual on this page. You should be able to run this just the same way on here, and then just, you know, like we did before, you'll copy as fetch, paste that, grab this piece, and then, you know, switch out that with this here. I really wish I knew a way to pull that out. There's got to be a way. Oh, you're welcome, Brett. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit. If I could figure out this other piece, I could really supercharge some stuff that I'm building, or really that I've kind of abandoned a little bit with this table enrichment stuff, but I just don't. And I'm just not going to do the API because it costs too much, and I know recruiters especially abuse stuff, and I don't charge enough for my tool to be able to handle people spamming my API without going in the hole. So I guess I'll have to give it some more consideration, but I can figure out that piece. It'd be pretty cool. But for now, yeah, that's the approach. And I'll drop a link in the description of this video to the code here, and yeah. I don't know, anything else anyone has they want to talk about or go over regarding this sort of thing in general? Yeah, Brett, I mean, it's been, I don't know, was really frustrated when I was, certainly on the agency side with the cost of some of these tools, because they all market towards enterprise clients, which I get. But then if you don't work for an enterprise client, then you really can't get access to these things at the level that you would need. And it's especially true for people that work in the agency world. And so part of why I wanted to keep the cost low was I wanted anyone to be able to afford these tools that I build. The problem with that is that it's I've realized that it kind of sets me up in this catch-22 scenario where I have to have the tool grow, and frankly I don't really want it to get too big, because I don't ever plan on building a company around it, like in hiring people, and I can't manage that many people, right? Like that many users. Like I figure I can probably handle up to 2,000 eventually. And that'd be cool, especially if everyone was paying $10 a month, but I don't know. I'm probably going to raise, or I'm going to have some tiered structure here soon. So I've been building something, or rebuilding quickly, rebuilding the architecture that allows me to have more of a tiered pricing model and restrict access to certain things based on people's subscription level. So moving forward, I'll have a base tier at 10, and everyone that's in at 5 now I'll keep grandfathered in, but at that base level anyway. But then I've got some contact stuff that I'm putting in here, as well as some other things that will probably be at least 5 times that. And some like Facebook stuff that I'm working on as well. But that's later this year. I was hoping to have it finished this weekend, but I probably won't, just because I've got some other stuff I got to work on today. But maybe next weekend I'll have the new version of Quickly ready to roll out to everyone. Or maybe not, who knows. But anyway, I guess I'm going to be done here, and I'll